Hi everyone, this is Priya Vashni and I welcome you all to the channel. In this video, we are going to cover a very important theory which has been given by Aristotle, that is his theory on states. But before that, if you have not subscribed to the channel, then please subscribe to this channel. This will actually give me motivation to make more such content. So if you are liking the content, then you can also tell in the comments that how much you are liking this content and what exactly is something which I need to improve, right? Okay, so let us start. Okay, so Aristotle's theory on states is one of the most important theory which is being given by the Aristotle, and these are few of the important statements which relates to this theory. So basically the main statement is man is by nature a political animal. According to Aristotle, man is by nature a political animal. So in the examination you can they can straight away ask you this question, that man is by nature a political animal, comment. So one thing you need to remember is that you need to include these statements as well in your answer. So they can ask you about the theory of state by giving any of these statements and you have to elaborate on this. So you need to ensure that to include these statements in your answer, because this will give authentication to your answer, right? Okay, so first statement is man is by nature a political animal. So as if you remember, then I have said in the while I was introducing you to the Aristotle, that both Plato and Aristotle believes in the concept of natural inequality, right? Natural inequality, this itself means that they actually believes in some natural qualities, right? So whatever they are trying to whatever Aristotle is trying to say will be involving the elements of nature, or will be actually, or nature will be taken as the base behind the behind the various theories of Aristotle, right? Okay. Second thing, what he says is that state comes into existence for the sake of life and continues for the sake of good life. We will discuss it in detail in this video, but before it, there needs to be some base, right? So I am just creating that base for you. So what Aristotle says is that state comes into existence for the sake of life. What it means, that for Aristotle, life is not possible without the existence of the state. Then he is also telling you that okay, that that okay, it's good that it is important for the sake of life, but why it is continuing? It is continuing for the sake of good life. We all know that both Socrates and Plato were trying to find the source of good life. Even even Aristotle is talking about the good life. Is it clear? So, one thing which you should also conclude from this statement is that even for Aristotle, state is very important, or state is natural, rather than what sophists believe that state is conventional. So according to Aristotle as well, state is very important thing, or it is natural. This is something which you cannot avoid. Is it clear? Next, this importance of state is also being highlighted in this statement of Aristotle, which says that state is highest of all associations, right? He is taking, or he is putting state above everything, above every association or institution, right? Fourth point is that one who can live without a state is either a beast or god. He cannot be a man. Again again it symbolizes the importance of the state. What Aristotle says is that if you can live without a state, that you cannot be a human being, you cannot be a man. Either you have some superpowers. Only if you have any superpowers, only then we can assume that you can live without a state. But if you are a common man, then we cannot say that you can live without a state. Why? Because you will understand it as I proceed in this video, right? Okay. Then fifth point was that state is a union of family and villages. That state is nothing, or state is a union of family and villages. You will understand this. Okay. So let me now begin with this exact theory of states, in which we will obviously consider all these statements, and with the time you will understand the importance of each and every statement which has been given here, right? So I'll try to come back to these statements I after telling you about the theory of states, and then you will be able to connect each of these dots. Okay. So considering the first statement, where he says that man is by nature a political animal, right? This is what Aristotle says. Now, what exactly Aristotle is trying to talk in this, or what exactly Aristotle is trying to emphasize upon? In this statement, just see this word political. We all know that this word is being related to the state whenever we talk in the political science, right? So, because political science actually is the science of the state, or you can say that it actually revolves around the state, right? So, what what Aristotle is trying to emphasize is upon the importance of the state, importance of the state. Now, you will say that how Aristotle is trying to emphasize the importance of state by saying man is by nature a political animal. For this, you need to understand what is his intentions behind calling man a political animal. He is trying to say that nature has not made man self-sufficient, or you can say that nature has not made a man in such a way that he can live without a state. Now, when I say that man cannot live without a state, what does Aristotle tries to say in this? So basically, Aristotle, uh, Aristotle, as I have already said, that Aristotle also belonged to the Socratic tradition. Therefore, he believes that state is natural, while against the thoughts of sophists who believe that state is conventional, right? So, as I say that Aristotle believes that state is natural, it itself implies the importance of the state. So, what he says is that man, by saying man is by nature a political animal, is that nature has not made man in such a way that he can live without a state. According to him, nature has made a man in such a way that he needs a state for his existence. Are you trying to are you able to understand, right? So now question arises, okay, this is something which Aristotle told us, but how he is trying to prove it? Now we will see that how Aristotle is trying to prove his concept or his idea. Is it clear that man is by nature a political animal? So he gives some arguments, right? Number one, or first argument which he gives, is on the basis of the needs of man. First argument which is gives is on the needs of man. What he says is that nature has not made a man as self sufficient. Now what do I mean by this? That man needs some other resources, some other institutions in order to satisfy his needs. Is it clear? So nature has not made man to self sufficient to fulfill even the basic needs. For example, we are one of the basic need is food, right? And from where we do get that food, we get that food from nature. Therefore it means that we depends on the nature, right? So similarly, what Aristotle says is that nature has not been self sufficient. Even even to fulfill the basic needs, we depends on others. So he is actually talking about some institutions now, right? First institution which he talks about is the family. So what Aristotle says is that first association which a human being need is the family. But he says that okay, family can fulfill some of our needs but not all the needs. Therefore, we had created another institution, that is the villages, right? So village again can fulfill some of the needs but not all the needs as per the Aristotle. Then he says, therefore we had created the state. Therefore, but why? Because state can take care of all the needs of the man. Is it clear? Therefore what is so again I am coming back to this. So first argument which Aristotle is trying to give to prove his point that man is by nature a political animal is on the basis of the needs of a human being or needs of a man. Aristotle says that by nature man is not self sufficient. It means that he cannot even fulfill his basic needs on his own. Therefore he depends on various institutions. So first institution which is there to fulfill some of his needs was family, right? Family, after family, since family also cannot fulfill all the needs, therefore the institution which came into existence was the villages, because villages you can say can be called a group of family. And so what one only single family cannot take care about, the village can take care about. But as village was also not being able to take care of all the needs of a man, therefore man has created the state. So state is, do you remember this statement when I said you, when I said you that state is the highest of all the associations, and state is a union of family and villages. So what he is trying to say is that state, since a state is fulfilling all your needs, I'll just write here, state is the highest of all associations, right? Now what does this mean is, what he's trying to convey from this, he's trying to convey that it is only the state which is capable of fulfilling all the requirements of man. See, whenever I'm saying man, it means the human being, right? So, neither family was sufficient nor village was sufficient, right? As an institution. So, the only institution which was sufficient was the state. It implies that state is the ultimate institution, as there is no other institution of any significance beyond state, right? Now, he also says that since state is doing so much for you, it is actually taking care of all the needs of yours, therefore state deserves state deserves highest share highest share in man's obligations, in his life. Means state deserves immense respect, immense obligation, immense gratitude, right? Why? Because it is actually fulfilling all your needs. So let us delve some more deeper into it, that why state deserves maximum amount of respect. So what Aristotle says is, or why state deserves maximum amount of respect. So what Aristotle says is that state is a precondition for good life, right? Which means that a man cannot have a good life without state, right? That means it. Therefore, in the words of Aristotle, so in the words of Aristotle, state come into came into existence for the sake of life, but continued continues for the sake of good life. Is it clear to you? Do you remember this statement which we had covered when we had started this session? That state comes into existence for the sake of life and continues for the sake of good life, right? So what Aristotle is saying, that since the state is the precondition for good life, then obviously this statement is itself telling what it means, right? So thus, on the basis of the needs of man, Aristotle proves that state is a natural institution, which means that man cannot live without state. So he says that therefore, now our next statement, therefore, if a man can live without a state, then he would be either beast or God. Now, what does it means by saying this? Because it requires superhuman qualities. It requires superhuman qualities to live without a state. Is it clear? I hope this all is clear to you. Okay. So, this is how, on the basis of the need of a man, he establishes that why state is important to us. Next argument which Aristotle gives is on the basis of logic. On the basis of logic. What Aristotle says is, though historically or chronologically, man historically or chronologically, or chronologically, if you see that obviously man comes before the state. But what he says that if you will see logically, if you will see logically, then state comes before the man. State comes before the man. Why he's saying is, he's saying that it's okay that mm, uh, first of all obviously man came into the nature, then only these concepts came. But what he said is that when man came first, so what he's trying to say is that though man came first, yet the life of man, yet the life of man, the life of man was worth calling a human life only after, or it won't be worth calling a human life until and unless man has not formed the state. Is it clear? So this is how logically he is trying to establish. Third argument which he is trying to give, third argument which he is trying to give is on the basis of teleology. So third argument is his teleological argument. See, teleology is also known as the school of destiny. School of destiny. So Aristotle actually believes in the school of destiny. So what Aristotle says that it is the destiny of man. It is the destiny of man that he has to live under the state. Under the state. So man has not made man in such a manner that he cannot avoid, sorry, man, nature has made man in such a manner that he cannot avoid the state. Therefore ये तो उसकी किस्मत है कि उसको स्टेट के अंडर में ही रहना पड़ेगा. तो conclusion, thus the base on the basis of our logic we can establish the importance of state in the life of man. So if you will try to critically evaluate it, if we see its critical evaluation, then how will you evaluate it? How will you critically evaluate it? Just pause this video and think about it. Okay, so let us now talk about its critical evaluation. So whether this, what Aristotle is saying, Aristotle is saying that state is natural. And when he is saying that state is natural, he is also meaning that it is necessary, right? Now, whether the state is natural or necessary is a kind of matter of debate. Matter of debate among various political scholars. How? So, for example, idealist. What idealist says that state is necessary, as I have seen in both in Socrates, Plato, as well as now in Aristotle. Right. Next, liberals. What liberals believe is, liberal says that state is a necessary evil. Right. Next, what anarchist believes. Anarchist says that state is unnecessary evil. So what you can say at the conclusion is that whether it is natural, necessary, it will remain a matter of debate. It remains a matter of debate because among the political scholars, some who belongs to idealist tradition, they say that it is necessary because it is the source of virtue. What liberal says is that it is a necessary evil, means it is a evil. They consider state as a evil, but it is necessary for us. When we talk about anarchist, so what anarchist says is that it is an unnecessary evil. So this is how we have completed our theory. Let us just quickly revise it so that, okay. So first of all, we have seen some of the important statements regarding his theory of state, right? In this, we have studied about when he calls man is by nature a political animal. Then we studied it how state comes into existence for the sake of life and continues for the sake of good life. State is highest of all associations. One who can live without state is either beast or god, or he cannot be a man. State is a union of family or villages. So we had started by calling man as is by nature a political animal. Then we have seen that how Aristotle is trying to emphasize on the importance of the state, because according to Aristotle, man nature has not made man self sufficient, which means that he cannot live without a state. How he is trying to prove his point, he is Aristotle is basically giving various arguments. First argument he gives on the basis of the needs of a man. So according to Aristotle, nature has not made man self sufficient, right? To fulfill even the basic needs. Therefore he or man creates various institutions. First institution which he creates is family, next villages, and then state. So family is not able to is able to satisfy some needs of the man, then villages some more, and state is able to meet all the requirements of the man. Therefore he actually reaches to the conclusion that state is the highest of all associations, because it is capable of fulfilling all the requirements of the man. Then because he is fulfilling all the requirements of the man, therefore it should be called as the ultimate institution. Therefore, in the words of Aristotle, what Aristotle says that state deserves highest share in the man's obligations in his life. Now why Aristotle is forcing us to give that much importance or respect to the state, because Aristotle says that state is the precondition of good life, which means that man cannot have a good life without a state. That's why here comes the statement of Aristotle that state come into existence for the sake of life, because it was important to satisfy our needs, but it continues to for the sake of good life. Why? Because this is the precondition of good life or source of good life. So that's how Aristotle, on the basis of the man's needs, is proving that state is natural institution, which ultimately means that man cannot live without a state. Then he says that if a man is can that if a man can live without a state, then he is not a man. He is either a beast or a god, which means or which implies that he or she is having some superhuman qualities. Next, on the basis of logic, he says that okay, historically or chronologically, man comes before the state, but if we see logically, then state comes before the man, right? Therefore, therefore, the life of a man was worth calling human life only after the existence of the state. Third argument which he gives is based on the teleology, that is the school of destiny. He says that it is the destiny of man to live under the state. Next, if I talk about the critical evaluation, then we can say that whether the state is natural or necessary is or remains a matter of debate among the various political scholars. For example, idealists that say that it is important, it is very important, it is necessary because it is a source of virtue, whereas liberal says that it is a necessary evil, while anarchist says that state is an unnecessary evil. So this is all in it. Thanks a lot for your time. And if you have liked this video, then I am again requesting you to please share and subscribe this video to as much as you can. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye bye. See you in the next video.